enheartenment versus enlightenment. So in short, enlightenment is an expansion of your awareness space to the degree where the identification with yourself and your soul self, becomes such a small aspect of all that your awareness space can experience that it seems to no longer exist. That's what they say, that, transcendence of the self. Technically, I think that's incorrect. I'm gonna explain that in other videos. The physics. I think the physics, I love physics, and I think basic physics, the stuff that everyone learned in 10th grade, is enough to explain all spiritual phenomena and the whole ideas about enlightenment and healing and all these very complex concepts. If you can't break them down in very simple terms that any 10th grader can understand them in terms of everyday experiences, I think you're losing yourself in abstract jargon language that removes you from life and becomes more and more abstract and less meaningful and more prone to getting lost in your in the matrix of concepts within your mind, because you're removed from your sensory experience of actual life. Like you can read 100 books about what it is to swim in the ocean. It'll never, you jump into the water once and you have an experience that you can never get from reading 100 books and having 1,000 gurus tell you 1,000,000 hours about how it is to jump in the ocean. You have to jump in the ocean yourself. It's back to enlightenment. So the enlightenment was the expansion of awareness to the degree that identification with yourself and your soul seems to be gone. Enheartenment is the expansion of your capacity to feel, fully feel, and let your awareness space be fully flooded with any particular movement in your soul, that you experience as an emotion. So enheartenment has to do with the heart, it has to do with emotions, has to do with the capacity of feeling. Enheartenment is, I don't know if these videos look good, we'll see. Anyways. So enheartenment is the capacity to expand, is expansion of your capacity to feel what's happening inside of you and let it flood your complete space of awareness. That's exactly what any other practice wants to not have. That's just the worst thing that could happen, because you're losing control completely. What happens in enheartenment is that there is another aspect of the soul that's not completely drowning in that emotion, and it is holding that emotion. I talk about this in another video, my experience, and it's, to me, the most valuable and beautiful experience in life. And the problem with enheartenment, the problem with enlightenment is that if you reach enlightenment, and you can actively walk towards that. It's a little bit silly because it's like a flower that unfolds when its time has come in spring. Not all the flowers bloom at the same time. They have their specific time frame when whatever it is that happens. makes them open their flower and they bloom. It's the same with human consciousness and enlightenment in my understanding. So it's a little bit like if you're flower XYZ and it's April and nature will make you bloom in June, but you're going like, nah, I'm gonna do the blooming now in April, no matter what, because I want to bloom now. That's like trying to reach enlightenment. You don't really have to do this. It's gonna happen when it's time, and it's gonna happen once you have. It's gonna happen once you reach more and more enheartenment. That's a natural. That's a natural progression. So when you have enlightenment without prior enheartenment, you're going to face a lot of serious issues that I think you'll have to deal with for many lifetimes. Surely there's no scientific proof for that. So, and I don't need you to believe me, but in all my struggles and wrestling and challenges with life, try to figure out what the fuck is going on. The best explanation I have for many things I'm dealing with is that I probably had an enlightenment experience in another life, and I'm dealing with the implications of that because I wasn't anchored in the heart properly before the enlightenment. The motion or the movement of consciousness that happens in enlightenment. So that's my proposition. If you have an enlightenment, and there's many gradual, many different aspects and graduations, levels to that. If you have that before you have enheartenment or sufficient enheartenment, you're gonna have a lot of problems because it's gonna be very, very hard to feel. It's gonna be very hard to have emotional healing. That comes from feeling emotions that are held in your soul in a certain way, the way how you relate to them. This is going to be nearly impossible after enlightenment. I'm happy that I stumbled upon a teacher who openly talked about that. Otherwise, I might have never stumbled upon that in my life. So I'm really thankful for that. And I'm going to expand on that and what that means and why that is. And I'm going to deliver to you the physics with drawings, tiny little stupid drawings, and with music, because that way it's much, much easier to understand. Again, I mentioned that always. Words are the worst way, the worst tool to explore these delicate concepts of enlightenment, enheartenment, consciousness. Words are just the worst. And I also think I know why. Anyways, that was again a long rambling. Let's see if there's anything worthwhile coming out. Well, let's see.